How's it going, guys? Today's video is a little different because I've already successfully done exactly what we're going to be talking about today. But the reason I did it this way was in order to actually surprise my brother. You see, my brother had been saving up for an upgrade on his computer. He wanted to replace the motherboard, the processor, the RAM, because, well, his old one was starting to fail. It was an old FX-based system that him and I actually built a couple of years ago when FX was finally on its way out and Ryzen was on its way in. We got an amazing price on it, and he was actually able to scrounge all of the money together on his own to buy it. The problem is that FX wasn't great then, and, well, it aged poorly. And so my brother had been saving up again to buy a new gaming PC. Unfortunately, reality is a cruel mistress, and we were hit with our rent renewal notice in which he is going to have to pay roughly 3 times more than he was previously, making his dream of owning a new gaming PC, well, kind of difficult. So I stepped in. While he was out and about, I took over and stole his computer to upgrade it. And that process is what this video is about. And more importantly, it's also the amazing build that I was able to build for him entirely out of parts that I had left over from the various videos I've done on this channel. So I got to reuse some parts and he got a new PC out of it. It's a win-win for everyone. So let's get right into it. Hello and welcome. My name is Wolfie and you're watching GreaterThanPie. All the parts that we are using today are parts that I've used in various other builds. And I'm gonna put a card up here to a playlist of those builds if you are curious to see how those parts looked when they were brand new. Now, all these parts were used recently, so I do know that they work and I know that they work well. In fact, on our motherboard, we actually updated the BIOS to its most recent AGESA code so that we can ensure that it will run at its best possible performance for its new owner. So let's actually start there. We actually have an Asus Crosshair 7 motherboard. This was before they actually made the X570 motherboard, and this was the X370 variant. I purchased this motherboard back when I built the Supernova build, and the reason that I purchased this motherboard in particular was because I didn't want to have to upgrade the motherboard frequently. Needless to say, I did, and it's still a great motherboard. So with its most recent BIOS, it's good to go for up to a Ryzen 5000 series processor, and truthfully, it is ready to go for the processor that we're going to be sticking in it, which is actually only a Ryzen 3000. Today, we're going to be installing a Ryzen 7 3700X. This processor was being used in my gaming PC up until recently when I upgraded it to a Ryzen 5000 5800X. So this processor, again, has served me very well. I know that it works, and it actually overclocks pretty well as well. For our cooler, we're gonna stick with the AMD stock cooler, specifically the Prism cooler. My original intention was to use an NHD15, but I couldn't find my mounting hardware. Needless to say, I ended up using the NHD15 after buying new mounting hardware on Amazon, which you can apparently do. And so, yeah, AMD stock cooler it is. That being said, this processor can easily be handled by the AMD stock cooler, and there's actually some room to even overclock even with that. For our RAM, we actually have my Delta R RGB RAM. This is a budget kit from Team Group, and honestly, it works really well. And because we're putting it in an Asus motherboard, we actually have full RGB control, which we would not have on any other vendor with this specific type of RAM. And then finally, I'm going to be upgrading the case. Now, the case that he has is not a bad case. In fact, I'm keeping this case because it is a limited edition NZXT Razer collab case that was good at the time, but is kind of a hot box. That being said, it does have some old features like the ability to access external water cooling, which is probably how I'm going to use it when I finally reuse this case. And the case that we are using is the Fractal Torrent. Yes, this bad boy of a case is an air cooling beast. I did have some issues with its back panel, which I was fortunately able to fix with a lot of JB Weld super glue. And while not an optimal solution, at least it's fixed and it's working well. Those are all of the parts that I am donating to this build. The rest of them are gonna come from his old build. For his power supply, he actually picked a Corsair RM750, which was a recommendation for me at the time. And as you can see, most of my builds use that series. So yeah, I'm consistent to say the least. He does have a couple of drives that we're gonna need to throw in there. He has a 2.5 size laptop drive that is actually a 2 terabyte drive inside a system, along with an SSD, which he uses to boot off of. Both of those are gonna make their way right on in to our new case. And he also has my GTX 1080 Founders Edition. This is an interesting card because it came from the end of the first GPU shortage. Not the one that we just got through, but one that actually should have been a warning sign that this might happen again. And that first one was entirely caused by, you guessed it, cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin that time around. Now that we got all of our parts together, let's go back in time to when we built this. But that is when disaster struck. We could get it to post. Everything was posting just fine. Everything was spinning up. All the fans were working. RGB looked great. But I couldn't get it to boot. And I was getting an error code on the post, which was, well, unusual. The error code that I was getting was that the USB bus was overloaded and that it had triggered current protection and is now rebooting. Now, I have not seen this message before, well, at least not on a modern computer. So I tried unplugging everything and running it, and I was still running into the issue. And the only things currently plugged in are a keyboard and a mouse. More importantly, this was perplexing enough that it ended up taking way longer than I care to admit. What ended up being the solution, though, was the USB-C cable, for some reason, was shorting out the port. So simply removing it fixed that issue, and we were allowed to boot into Windows. All right, they're on their way up the stairs now. So I've got the PC covered. It's all built. B-roll is shot. It looks good. Yeah, I mean, and it works. That's the best part. I got everything working. Bottom fan working. RGB working. Well, some of the RGB is working. I have to plug in other cables if I want to control the whole thing, but it's not worth it. So they're on the way. So hopefully he likes it. I'm excited because I haven't given in a PC to anybody in a long time. So yeah. Dylan, come here.
Me?
Yeah, you. Set the chair down.
I got nothing. I'll sit in the chair.
No, set the chair.
What's up?
So Tiffany was telling me that your computer has been blacking out on you, causing issues, just being a general pain.
Yeah.
Here, step right here so you're on camera for this.
Oh. Yeah.
So I took it upon myself while you guys were at Sunfest to completely
what the
redo it.
That looks so good.
That
what
looks
in the
clean as
That looks so nice. What case is that?
That is the Fractal Torrent.
Okay.
The only parts I reused were your GPU, your hard drives, and your power supply. The rest of this is all brand new. So this is a Ryzen 7 3700X X570 motherboard.
It looks so nice.
3000 speed memory at I think it's 16 gigabytes right there.
What?
RGB out the yin yang.
I love it. Oh my god.
Now the only thing that I am a little disappointed in is I was originally going to give you my Noctua NHD 15 and I couldn't find the mounting hardware. So we went with the Ryzen stock air cooler, but as you already know, this thing's, in this case, in this situation, this is going to be probably some of the best performance that's going to have.
Is it going to have better airflow?
Yes. Oh yeah, the whole thing is all
Look
airflow.
at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's a total of 5 fans. These are 190 millimeter fans. So,
is that a number on the motherboard?
yeah, that is a readout of the postcode. So if you have any issues, the motherboard itself can tell you what those issues are.
Oh, so just kind of like how my old motherboard did it.
Yeah, so you can actually look it up, see what issue's going on. This right now is booted into Windows, so I know it's working. The only thing that is not working is the USB-C port up here. The USB ports are working, the USB-C is not. For some reason, my connector that was on this motherboard may be damaged. I'm not sure.
That's fine.
There you go. That is a complete replacement.
I love it, and I can't wait to test it out. Thank you so much.
We're gonna go ahead and power it down. You can go ahead and take it in your room, but this should be significantly better for you.
Thank you.
You deserve it. You've been working hard.
Thank you.
So,
that's the one thing I wanted this last year that I was maybe able to afford.
Thank you for helping me.
So we're back to the present. Back to the future? We're back to the future, I think. As you guys can see, he really did love this PC. And in all seriousness, I didn't even realize how impactful it was. My brother's really good at kind of hiding his emotions. It's something that he's done. He's the middle child. He's my younger brother, and throughout his entire life, I've grown to know that he keeps as much as possible as tight as possible. And so the last thing I saw in editing my video and getting this whole thing together is the fact that he was wiping away tears. It made me truly happy that I decided to make this build. And it made me happy that all these parts went to somebody who actually needed them. So in truth, I couldn't be happier with how this build came out. But that is where we're gonna end today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, consider giving it a like, commenting, subscribing. I hope to see you in the next video, and I'll see you next time. Wolfie, out.